Starting lineup, uniforms, and apparel present the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. Hello everybody, once again, Andrew Rogers here, the host of the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. This is episode number 7. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. I want to thank once again our presenting sponsors, Starting lineup, uniforms, and apparel. Thank you very much for all that you do for us in support of us, support of this great league, and support of this, what is turning out to be some kind of podcast. Our last episode featured the Durham Thundercat captain, Kyler Nixon, and received a ton of views on YouTube and a ton of feedback, positive, so that was just excellent. Thank you very much, honestly, for all you guys just to be watching and taking viewership and appreciating what's going on. And, it's grim times in terms of what the future holds. We really don't know what's going to happen with this league in particular next year, if there is even going to be a season. But we want to be able to keep the content coming, and we want to be able to get to the bottom of certain things, certain players. It's always nice to be able to hear from them, hear their tales of their hockey careers and tales of the season past, of things to come. It's just really interesting to get to talk to these guys and get to the bottom of things and just get to know who they are. And that's exactly what I felt like we did with Kyler. He was a wonderful guest, and we really appreciated having him on, and we appreciated all that he had to say. So we turn it around. This is episode number 7 now. We have a great lineup of guests upcoming. Coming up next on the program is episode number 8, and that's going to feature Barry Trude of the Shelburne Muskies. So we're going to be very happy to have him on. Then we follow that up with Trevor Lord and Andrew Whalen of the Elora Rocks, and then we go to Brad Burton and Nathan Ansel of the Clinton Radars after that. I'm also in discussions with some other prominent guests that will be updated in the coming days, so keep an eye out for that as well. But we turn our attention now to this week's guest. Not this week, I guess. We have multiple guests per week, but we turn to the guest for this particular episode. He comes by the way of the Lucknow Lancers. He was their leading scorer last year. He is Cole Pellett, and he is my guest on this today's episode of the podcast, WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League. So we're pleased to be joined at this time by our guest. He plays for the Lucknow Lancers. His name is Cole Pellett. He joins the podcast. Cole, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cole, the pandemic has hit everybody differently. I guess I'm just trying to get people's takes as they come on here, just to get an idea of what they're doing, if things have changed for them drastically. How do you find that you've been holding up during this past few months?
I've been busy, actually. I've been working pretty much every day. I don't think I've had one day off. So for me, it hasn't changed a whole lot kind of throughout the week. But obviously on the weekend, not being able to see your friends and, going out and doing that sort of thing, it's been, a bit of a transition for sure. But then obviously too, like not being able to have any sports to play, that's been tough. I usually play baseball and do a little bit of summer hockey actually throughout the summer. So not being able to do that, it's been tough. But we're grinding through it and hopefully get through it, sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's the general consensus for everybody, is that they'd like to see things start to get back to normal, which it seems like there might be a little bit of light in the way in the horizon, but I guess only time will tell. So last season, Cole, with Lucknow, obviously not a great season if you look at it from a strictly record, side of things. You guys finishing second near the bottom. What do you take away from this season, though, if you look at it as a whole?
Yeah, like obviously we'd love to be in that top 8, kind of range, battling for the AA. But it was a step in the right direction. I think we brought in a few pieces towards the end of the year, and we're kind of building towards next year. Obviously, like with the league just being so close as it is now, like yeah, I remember when I first started, a few years ago, it was pretty much just Clinton and then kind of everybody else. But now you see all these teams, Ripley, Shelburne, Minto, like all these teams are just getting better and better. So, you really have to bring your A game every night because it's going to be a challenge. So I look forward to that. I'm always trying to improve my game and play against really good players. And, it's been a challenge and, I always enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've followed this league the last few years as well, and one of the things that I noticed from last season was that it was probably by far one of the more competitively balanced seasons I've ever seen. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there weren't a whole lot of blowouts when you look at a lot of the games, and just looking at the standings, like it's so tight and. Anyone can almost really beat anyone, so it's fun that way, and it's a really good challenge.
So when you look at Lucknow more specifically, like what would you say if you had to take away something that would say, okay, if we would have just done this, we would have been better because of that?
Well, it definitely helps, when you put the puck in the net like a little bit more than we did. So I think, if we could add that, maybe just a couple more pieces kind of in the off season, I think we'd, be closer to that top 8. So, I think just getting, a couple more guys, it'll be key for us for the future.
Sure. No, I agree with you. And I'm hopeful for that because, like I say, I really thought that you guys were much better than your record indicated. And, you know what, I hope for good things moving forward for you guys so that, next year it becomes even more, competitively balanced if it continues along that trend and that you guys are right in there in that fight right up until the end. I'd really like to see that for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Cole McPherson, a teammate of yours, he says about you, he says, Cole's a great guy. He loves the game, gives 110% at practice and games. He had the privilege to be on a line with him this past season, and he can really use his speed and shot to his advantage. Looks forward to seeing you back in the Lancer uniform. Talk about playing with Cole. What's he like to play with as a line mate?
Oh yeah, Cole's awesome. I think he did pretty much all the puck battles in the corners throughout this year for our line. A lot of times I just had to get in the slot and get open for him. So he does a lot of the dirty work, and he's a pretty skilled player. I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that about him. So it's been really fun to play with him the last couple of years for sure.
No doubt. Next teammate is Reed Schwartzentruber. I actually got a chance to meet him in one of the games. It was the last game, the regular season. You guys were in Palmerston. Reed come out after the second period, and he come up to join me in the third. Really good guy, really stand-up guy. I know that he battled injury a lot for you guys this past season. He says about you, he says overall great guy in and out of the change room, a guy that you definitely want on your team, comes to every practice and really puts in the effort. Can you speak to maybe his injury and how that might have changed the outcome on your season?
Yeah, I think it was his shoulder that he was kind of battling, throughout the whole year, and that was tough for him. It was tough to see. Like he's a guy he's driving a long way from Lucknow, and to see him kind of battle through that was tough. But I think having him throughout the whole playoffs, that would have helped us a lot for sure. And, hopefully he can come back next year stronger. I know he put in the time with the physiotherapy and, all that stuff. So I'm sure he'll be back to 100% next year, and we look forward to having him. Yeah,
no question. Great player, got a lot of skill, and he's a big dude. So, it's nice to see that combination in this league. Cole, the thing with if you... I had a question. I'm blanking now. I hate when that happens in this time. But no, I mean, when it comes to this league, you've played for a few years now, as you mentioned. Is the fear legitimate of having to, is the fear of injury legitimate when it comes to this game and knowing I got to be able to go to work the next day, or I got to be able to be at work on Monday? Is that a legitimate fear, do you think, among players in this league?
Yeah, I think so. It all kind of depends, too, what you do for work. I mean, nobody likes getting hurt in general, but you definitely, you think about that, when you're kind of going into a corner and, you see a guy who's 6'5" coming at you, you got to have your head up, and you have to think about, I have to go to work the next day. I have, a family. Some guys have kids, so
Right.
You're definitely thinking about that kind of thing. It's, not back in the junior days where you're kind of, you think you're invincible, right? And it's like,
Sure.
I don't really have to worry about it quite as much.
Right.
But no, it's definitely something that I think I think about, and I'm sure I could speak for a lot of guys. They feel the same way for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. And you know what? You hope even as a spectator that guys out there respect the other player on the other team or whoever. Because even a lot of guys, they know a lot of other people, that are on other teams, and they've grown up playing with them and that sort of stuff. So you think there would be
definitely.
that mutual understanding.
For sure.
Matt Crane is the last teammate comment I have for you. It says, Cole's a great guy, solid teammate. He always plays hard and wants to win. Great guy in the room. Always fun to be around. We didn't have the best season, but we made a lot of changes during the season, picking up guys like Tyler Ryan, and hopefully we can make a strong push next year. Speak to Matt and speak of maybe some of the additions that you guys had and how that might have influenced the second half of the season.
Yeah, we brought in Matt, and then, like you said, we brought in Tyler. So we brought in some guys who were kind of, out of town a little bit, so that was good to see. I know over the last couple of years that I've been there, there's been a fair bit of, local guys on the team, so bringing in, guys from different areas, I think that's been a big improvement for us. And, they're willing to make that drive, so it shows just the amount of dedication that they have for the league and for our team, and I think, we see when guys see that from, the Lucknow area, it's like, hey, these guys are busting their tails to get to practice. I think that gives them a little bit more motivation, especially when they're only, 10, 15 minutes down the road. So I think that shows a lot about, the guys in our team, and, it means a lot.
No, absolutely. I agree. Thank you to those three for those comments. We're talking with Cole Pellett from the Lucknow Lancers. Cole, how big is dedication? You speak to that. How big is it in this league to be able to be successful?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge for sure, I think. I'm obviously not in the Clinton dressing room or the Ripley dressing room, but I'm sure they always, whenever we play them, they always have a full team, and I'm sure they have decent practices as well. So I think, having the proper dedication, proper coaches, and just the proper morale and, in the room, it'll go a long way, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so we want to take me back to the season here. You guys, you end up playing Petrolia first round in the A playoffs last year, and you win the 2 games there. Take me through that series. I mean, it's brief. Do you think the best of 3 is really the best way to go in that scenario, or would you feel like it'd be a better series, best of 7?
Yeah, I think the 2 out of 3, it's tough. I mean, I think that ended on, it was a 1 weekend, type thing. So, I mean, that's pretty tough, especially if you have guys working, that weekend, right? So
yeah,
it'd be nice to see it jump to a 4 out of 7, even a 3 out of 5. I think would make a big difference. So, yeah, it was a quick series. We kind of turned it on at the right time, so that was good to see.
Now with the Tavistock series, it was a little bit different for you guys going up against, I guess, a little bit tougher in an opponent, given that you went from an opponent that was vulnerable, let's say, to a team that was much better, much more prepared. I think that's fair to say. And you guys get swept. What happened in the Tavistock series?
Yeah, we obviously knew going in, we were in an underdogs, for sure. But, I mean, a lot of the games, I think 2 of them went to overtime. Yeah. The other one was a 1-goal game, and then the other one wasn't a blowout by any means. So
right.
I think, even I think after the first game, it went to overtime. We're just like, okay, we're in this. We're not just going to roll over and die kind of thing.
Right.
But, we gave them a good run, and I think at the end of the day, the better team won. But I think it just kind of shows, when we have a full team and everybody's going, we can compete in this league for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Cole, how concerned are you that next season may not end up coming to fruition?
Yeah, I'm pretty concerned. I don't know what I'd do without it. I know it's even been tough on me not playing throughout the summer. But yeah, hopefully we just all we can do is kind of hope, right, and have our fingers crossed. But yeah, that's really all we can do at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for the season to come to that abrupt end that it did last year, no question, devastating. It'd just be hard to imagine missing a full season as a result of everything. But it will be very interesting if it does take place, what it will look like. I think that's also weighing on people's minds, is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so Cole, speaking from a personal standpoint, who would you say was your biggest influence when you look back on your entire hockey career? Like, what do you owe all of your hockey success to?
I think probably my parents, for sure. I mean, I think that's the case with a lot of guys. You have to have your parents obviously drive you to practice, all the games, long hours and stuff like that. So I would definitely say my parents, for sure. They've been there since we're 4 years old, and it's you really appreciate that once you get a little bit older and you just see how much they kind of gone through, and obviously with their busy work schedules, and once you kind of go through that as an adult, you really start to appreciate that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. I mean, I agree with you. A lot of people's parents are a huge inspiration, on no question. What would you say is your if you could pick one, just that if you can recall it, what would you say was your biggest hockey memory?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Put me on the spot there.
Kind of, yeah.
Honestly, I'm not really too sure. There were so many. I think I look back to kind of like the high school days, and playing with all the guys I grew up with, guys I obviously met in high school, and we won the Huron Perth and Woaa championships, I believe, a couple times. So, and we were, I think, one game away from going to the All Ontario Championship. So I think I would definitely put that one up there for sure.
Wow, that's really cool, man. That's really cool. Matt was talking to me, Matt Crane. He asked me to at least get you to tell the story behind a broken stick incident against Tillsonburg.
Oh, yeah. That was quite the thing. I think I know which one he's talking about, but yeah. Both Matt and I, we shared the same stick kind of thing, right? And I was brand new, and I let him use it for one game, I think it was. Yeah. And the first shift he goes out and he snaps it, and I'm just like, okay, is that my stick? Is that, maybe it's his stick, I don't know. Yeah. And then, it was in two pieces, obviously, and then I come back, and I'm just using a few, and I'm like, dude, you gotta buy me a stick right now. I can't go without a backup stick kind of thing. Yeah. And I felt a little bit bad after that. I was just like, okay, Cole, you gotta kind of calm down here. But it is all good.
Oh, that's funny. Who would you say is the funniest guy in the Lucknow room?
I think that's a toss-up between both the Simpson boys, Chad and Tanner. Okay. They always have a smile on their face, and they're always goofing around. And I've known them for a long time, and a lot of times you just can't even take them seriously. But no, they're awesome guys to have in the room. Right
on. Now, so yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, what is it that's so great about this league? I mean, you've played, like I say, for a few years now. What would be the sell to someone looking to get into this league? Why they would want to join this league? What could you say to that?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. Obviously, the leagues, like I said, it's getting better and better every year. So it's still a really competitive league. You don't see a guy who just started playing 5 years ago just pick up a stick and start playing. So obviously, from a competitive standpoint, it's really good. The travels, not too bad unless you're maybe like a team like Petrolia or Tillsonburg. But right. No, it's a really good league, and the locker room, the one that I always go in, it's always great, and being able to have a few beers with the guys you compete against after the game, I think that's there's a lot of respect there, and I think guys really appreciate that, and we look forward to it sometimes, just having a beer with them after the game, and after we just kind of went to war with them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Cole, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for chatting with me on the podcast here. It's been great having you on, and I do hopefully, if the season does go off without a hitch, I do look forward to coming down to Lucknow, watching you guys play and talking with you more. So thanks for coming on, and we'll talk again.
Hey, sounds great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I think it's awesome what you're doing, so just keep it up.
So once again, we want to thank Cole Pellett of the Lucknow Lancers for coming on the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast to talk with us. It was wonderful having him on, and we thank him, and we look forward to speaking with him again down the road. That's going to pretty much do it, though, for this episode of the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. Thank you very much for watching, as always. We'd like to thank Cole. We'd like to thank Mitch Scott of starting lineup uniform and apparel. We'd also like to thank Cole McPherson, Reed Schwartzentruber, and Matt Crane for their comments on Cole. We really appreciate that as well. So coming up next on the podcast is Barry Trude of the Shelburne Muskies. That episode of the podcast drops on Friday. We'll look forward to seeing you then. As we do always, we say goodbye. Andrew Rogers, the host of the WOA Senior AA Men's Hockey League podcast. We'll see you on Friday with Barry Trude of the Shelburne Muskies. Take care, everyone.